All right, guys, what is up? I decided to dress up and get a little snazzy, specifically for this. Basically, how you would dress when you're going out and doing casting and going to live events as a professional, right? Or anybody who is professional in business. But an announcement came out. I wanted to go over that announcement and go over a little bit of StarCraft 2 and basically what's been happening with it, what I've been trying to preach for years now about trying to get StarCraft 2 up and be successful. You guys know that I really, really, really care about StarCraft 2. I know a lot of people out there are like controversial. They're like, oh, well, you're just complaining about balance all the time. Look, there's a reason why I do it, okay? And there's a reason why I do certain things, and I usually post that I'm going to do certain things before I do them. So, let's go ahead and get into this. Let's talk about it. I'm going to give my personal perspective on it, my experience, the wisdom over the years that I've acquired on these issues, all right? So, let's take a look. So there's an important update about ESL. Basically, the ESL Pro Tour for StarCraft 2 will not continue in 2025, unfortunately. Now, this isn't a good thing for the StarCraft 2 community, but you gotta understand there is no other RTS that rivals StarCraft 2 out there. So, technically, StarCraft 2 is a monopoly. I'm going to get into that later on. But basically, we should not be giving up on StarCraft 2. Let's put it that way. So let's take a look here. It says, why is it ending and disconnecting? So the biggest thing here is take a look at what they say here. All right. You got to understand that the world flows on money, and people need to understand that the world flows on money. It's not about their own personal needs and feels. It's more you got to think about things logically and long term and in the future, right? That is what it means to be an investor. All right, so it says the strong start of the circuit was supported by key ecosystem stakeholders, enabling a full-scale pro tour event. That means that they've had live events. I went to one of the live events in Atlanta that they had, ESL DreamHack Atlanta, right? All right, so providing a sense of stability for all involved parties and allowing esports professionals to fully dedicate their careers to StarCraft. See, this is a good thing because that allows uh, big content creators and things like that to um, continue their roles within StarCraft and basically getting paid for it, right? Now, it says, however, securing long-term commitments and fund multiple events across the year has become more challenging with time, okay? As of today, we can no longer maintain the comprehensive ecosystem that has defined EPT, a year-long circuit featuring online and live events with high-quality broadcasts, comprehensive regional competitions, and regular updates for competitive gameplay. Regular updates for competitive gameplay. So that's probably balance patches and stuff like that. Now, I'm going to let you guys know, if they leave StarCraft in the state that it's in with the balance patches, that's going to be very bad for StarCraft. Okay? And I'm going to get into that here in a little bit. But basically, they've been going in the wrong direction with the updates. They've also been, even though it's high quality broadcasts, they could do better, okay, when it comes to advertising and growing a market. And that is what a lot of these stakeholders end up investing in is they want to make money out of whatever investment that they were giving, okay? Now, a lot of people don't realize that. They just think, oh, it's a job. I'm just going to get paid. I'm going to do the minimum. If you want the things to continue, you got to be highly passionate about something. Now, I'm not saying that some of these individuals aren't highly passionate, like specific casters and players and whatnot. It's just that they don't have the outside experience off the internet to fulfill that, or they haven't been taught it or learned or learned about it. Okay, So that's one of the issues that I have, and that I'm going to be talking about here. Now, first off, when it comes to the esports, I guess this is the last announced esport that is going to come out. Now, here's the problem that I have with this, and this is something that I've seen over the years, the past years with StarCraft 2. Anytime they try to make announcements and post announcements out there to get an audience to participate in events or watch events online, they're always going to Reddit or X only. They're not going anywhere else. Okay, and that's actually a big issue, because how are you going to get the name out there with StarCraft if you're not going to do proper branding, right? So that's one of the issues that I have with watching how they've been doing things over the years. And it's like, well, RuFF, why didn't you come out and say this stuff in the first place a long time ago? I just never made videos and stuff on it. I always said it on my streams. I always set it on my X feeds. And I'm always like, man, they're not doing things correctly to grow, right? So let's take a look here. Obviously, like I said, you don't want to jump on Reddit, guys, because Reddit, I'm going to be honest with Reddit, the individuals there, they don't touch grass most of the time, okay? I'm not saying everybody, but most of the time. Most of the people are there for their little echo chamber, to vent and not get anywhere in life. A lot of these people, they don't even have, like, money, okay, that you are catering to on Reddit, all right? Now, when we come over here, if I try to do a search on this, and I can skew to search as much as I want. If I want to go SC2 announcements of final EWS title, the only thing that pops up is the Reddit. Nothing else pops up. Not even the X feed. I can change it and say StarCraft. Okay, I can change it and take out all the fluff here, and say, all right, final title. I could take out this exclamation. It doesn't even help, right? I'm not getting the information that I need for StarCraft, and for that information to actually get out there, where there's not even coming up on, like, even simple Google feeds, right? This is part of the marketing and branding that needs to be done when it comes to these major events and whatnot. And it's like, well, RuFF, why are you even saying this? You're not someone who does that. You're a streamer too. It's like, well, actually I did in the past. I did. And I worked for a high-end individual, and I used to get on calls with high-end individuals through, like, Zoom meets to sell resources online. So people don't understand that I do have this project management and account management background behind me, because I've done these things. I even have a degree in mathematics, toward a master's degree. But you gotta understand, the Reddit guys, they're gonna say, no, you're full of it. You don't know anything. And this is why I've been getting belligerent lately. If you guys don't know what belligerent means, it means, like, warlike toward the community, because they are not going in the proper direction for StarCraft 2. All right. Let's go over here. Dexerto, okay? I'm going to be honest. Every time I go on X, Dexerto pops up on my feed for some reason. All the time. If you want to get anything out there, you need to go to different kind of news websites when it comes to esports and gaming, okay? And they need to invest in that. That needs to be part of the budget. And I'm pretty sure that posting something as simple as that probably doesn't cost that much compared to flying out, like, 20 casters and players to live events. Something like this is something that can be brought up to give people information. Oh, cool, they're having that. I remember StarCraft from a long time ago, right? This is something that they should have been doing, is posting about StarCraft on a bunch of different news websites that gain a lot of traction and gain a lot of views. Okay, this is just an example, right? And so obviously understanding product quality. And I have to go over this a little bit just so some of these people understand it. You can have investors and stakeholders come in and give you money, but the question is, do you know how to create that product, right? So it's like, how do you do product quality? You know, you have all this stuff. I guarantee you that the people that get the funding behind this don't even do the simple research to do anything like this, okay? If you do even just the simplest research and you're really passionate about it and you continue to research, like, I want to get this right, I want to do it right, I want everything to look really good, I need to nail all the different things, I need to brainstorm different ideas, I need to write down different ideas, okay, to do the marketing. You need to do this in order to really sell a product, okay, and basically sell StarCraft. Now, StarCraft, like I said, guys, it is the only RTS. This should not be failing at all as being the only RTS out there, unless like Tempest Rising comes out and it blows StarCraft out of the water. But I can tell you, Age of Empires didn't do anything. Stormgate didn't do anything because they did failed marketing. They did identity marketing and things like that. That is why those are failing, okay? And we cannot aim at the majority of the audience by doing that kind of marketing, right? All right, so it basically tells you different guides to understanding product development, guide to quality assurance. You can just type this stuff in Google and research it, and you don't need a degree as long as you're willing to put in the hard work and effort to understand how to do this and really learn from it. Sometimes getting some kind of experience and being thrown into those categories is what helps you, and having someone guide you, right? Like what happened to me. Now, I'm not going to bring out any names of individuals because maybe they want to be they don't want to be associated. Maybe they don't want to associate with me. Who knows? So I'm not going to name anybody, right? But there are people within the StarCraft community that are talented, that have money, and that run big businesses. Why aren't those individuals going out there and contacting them to learn from them on how to grow something big, right? I just wish that they would do that. All right. But let's go over here. Now that the ESL is stopping, you notice that now there is a bidding war for the StarCraft rights. I can tell you that whoever picks up the StarCraft rights for StarCraft 2, okay, if they do it right, it is a monopoly, okay? And if you guys don't know what a monopoly is, right over here, I'm going to bring it up. What is a monopoly? A monopoly is a market structure with a single seller or product that assumes a dominant position in an industry or sector. Okay? If you guys have ever played like the Monopoly game, Monopoly basically means that you own everything. Nobody is going to take over your product because there is no other RTS game out there. Okay? So Monopoly should be able to blow everything out of the water when it comes to esports. And since StarCraft is the only one, right? Unless you stay StarCraft 1, you know what I mean? StarCraft 1 versus StarCraft 2. You notice a big difference between StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 had more people watching and viewing it, but now it's become the opposite. How come? Now, Korea are the ones that are watching mostly Brood War, and they're still hyped up about Brood War. And this is where we go back over here, right? Asia Today reports that NCSoft, Nexon, and Netmarble and Krafton are locked in a fierce competition to secure the rights of Blizzard Entertainment's iconic StarCraft 2 franchise. Okay? The four largest gaming companies in South Korea. Whoever wins this in South Korea, I am optimistic about StarCraft 3 if they decide to make it. Okay? Because, and here's the reason why. Because Brood War does it right. They don't have a bunch of patches that come out, and you can do practically anything in the game, and the game is set in the balance that it's set in. Okay, you have comeback potential with like hardly any supply, as long as you are using the right unit compositions. So, for example, you could be a Zerg player with 70 supply versus 150 supply Protoss, but you're using your Dark Swarms and Plagues correctly, you're using your Lurkers correctly, and you're able to come back into the game because of that. In StarCraft 2, you don't have that potential anymore. Okay? If you fall behind even like 10, 20 supply, lots of times you just straight up lose. That's the problem with StarCraft 2 and the StarCraft 2's balance at the moment in the competitive scene. They've nerfed everything that is not A move potential, basically. So if you are using any strategy or micro, they've nerfed it. And they just make you A move armies with tier 1 units now, which is why StarCraft 2 is not doing so well, because the majority of the audience isn't going to say anything, okay? The ones that complain about the game are going to be the players, because they're like, oh, I lost my army to a Seeker Missile. Oh, I lost my army to a Disruptor hit. Oh, so we got to nerf all of these things. We got to nerf these tier 3 units, or these tier 2 units, because they're too overpowered and it makes the game not fun. Well, I hate to say it. Pro players that are doing that, they are the ones that are so in the mindset of not trying to branch out, whereas people like Innovation, Cure, you can even go back to some NA players like Cat, Survive, or you just name it out there. They are creative enough to adjust, okay? And that is why they are good players. They don't have to be mechanically fast and just macro and just make units and A move all the time. Okay? This is the issue that I have with StarCraft 2 when it comes to gameplay and retaining an audience, because people want to see cool strategies. I'm going to bring that up here in a little bit. Okay? Now, when it comes to StarCraft 2, if you want to start promoting things, when I went to DreamHack Atlanta, I paid attention to these things, right? Now, one of the cool things that they did have was like this big battle cruiser, okay, that came out. That was like a model, but that is something that you don't really have to invest in, right? Cosplayers is something you want to invest in, right? You want to bring out cosplayers. How come? Because you want something to look at, okay? When it comes to marketing, I don't think people understand that. They want to look at someone in a sexy Nova outfit, all right? Or they want to see this big-ass mechanical marine. You see what I'm talking about? These are things that people like, that they will want to invest in and see. And sometimes you have to go out of your way to maybe bring some of these people into the marketplace of whatever event that you are hosting, right? And that's what I'd never really understood about going to these events and not seeing a single cosplay, which kind of drives me nuts. They have their like normal cosplay events where, but I didn't see any like StarCraft, as crazy as that sounds. I don't know why. But we need more of that stuff when it comes to these major events, and I don't know why we never saw it, right? All right, so also StarCraft talent, right? I want to bring up StarCraft talent. Now, I think that they do a pretty good job with StarCraft talent. A lot of the people that jump on there are very presentable, right? So for example, if I were to jump over here and just open this one up, right? So they have different StarCraft talents. Now for me, I don't think you need 6+ casters for main stage. You probably need about 4, right? And maybe rotate them in and out. But, you know, I know that they want to give everybody a shot, but then that's more people that you're flying out to do these events. And it's like, well, the feels, right? We should give everybody a chance. Unfortunately, business doesn't work that way. And that's the harsh reality of it, right? When it comes to lineups like that. Some people are just going to have to do their thing. and they get exposure by just kind of coming out on their own instead of being paid by like ESL as an example. That kind of exposure will grow their own branding and their own streams. So for example, like someone like me, maybe I don't need to be paid to be casted. Maybe I like the exposure. Maybe I'll come on my own. Just give me the exposure and I'll do it, right? But it really just depends on that professional scene and who you can bring in professionally. Obviously, you want to aim to get the big guys, like the GOATs here, Tasteless and Artosis. So this event right here, I think did pretty well because they probably brought these two GOATs in, right? Another thing, too, is you probably want maybe a few more females in there. And I know it's going to sound sexist, like, why are you bringing females? I mean, like, sexy females. You need to bring someone like Smix in here as an example, like we've had in the past. Bring in maybe on main stage. You can bring in, I don't know, who's still left in the community? Like Livy B or somebody up there on the main stage. Just for people to be like, ooh, cool, female up there. Looks cute, looks hot. You need that as another means of attraction when it comes to casting, right? And when it comes to, and it could just be like one time, right? Or you can bring people up there to interview different influencers on the main stage that have come to the event. Spend like 30 minutes to do that. There's a lot of different ideas that you can do, but you need the eyes to come in for the marketing. All right? And I think that that's one of the things that they've kind of failed on over the years. All right. So another thing, I was talking about gameplay, right? What hypes up an audience? All you have to do, guys, is just do some searching. What makes the crowd go crazy? Let's see. What makes the crowd go crazy? You guys hear that? You guys hear that? Going nuts. What's happening? They're using casters, right? Or like when I say casters, I don't mean like actual casters. I mean like in-game magic users. All right? That can change a game and change the tide of the game, right? Over here. Look at it. Look at this stuff. Look how exciting it is. Look at these strategies. It's not just a moving StarCraft, right? Look at this. Look at this. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Do you think people want to sit down and watch StarCraft where all you really do is A move the entire time? People, if I'm a Terran player and my planetary fortress is getting nerfed and it's dying to Zerglings, and my Hellbats can't one-shot Zerglings tier 1 units in the late game, and you're literally nerfing everything that has late game potential to make the games exciting, you're also nerfing every cheese in the game, and you're just getting this stale mid-game A-moving StarCraft 2. It's not going to be exciting, guys. That's just a thing. I've been saying this 1,000 times. It's not going to be that exciting. This is exciting. It might seem like it's imbalanced, but I can tell you, players adjust. Okay? Players have always adjusted. You don't have to keep changing things and keep nerfing the game, because the two whiny individuals on the internet that are playing StarCraft 2 are now getting their way, whereas the majority of the audience isn't going to say anything, and they're just going to walk away from the game. That's the thing. There's a lot of different stuff. Look at this. Do you think that these seeker missiles are broken? You could dodge them. You could split if you want to, right? Back then. Now, when Maru was reigning supreme, was when you had that instant seeker missile go off that was doing like 40 damage, and it would just instantly go boom and hit. This one, you could actually dodge it by splitting. Okay, as an example. But But you can see here, it just didn't happen. Walks right into it. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, well, that was broken or whatever. In my opinion, it really wasn't back then. I remember Vipers abducting my Ravens. I remember getting wrecked by people like Scarlet and Kane back then because they used their spellcasters correctly, as an example. And I know sometimes it's like, well, we don't want to watch those kind of games and stuff, but 99% of the time, those games don't happen back then. This is what I never really understood about why they are going in this heavily nerfed direction and really making the game stale by taking away all the caster units. So we're talking about the Infestor's been nerfed with its fungal, the Viper's been nerfed with its parasitic bomb, the Disruptor's been nerfed with its damage, the Ghost Snipes are nerfed, the EMPs are nerfed, Thor's lost armor, Thors don't do any splash damage to air anymore that well. The Seeker missile's been completely changed. You know, the Colossus is bad versus bio units now, except for, you know, versus light. So that means Marauders can wreck it now. You've basically changed the game so much in the direction that making any support or spellcasting units for any race is just not worth it, right? That's the problem with the balance changes nowadays. And because of that, you get this kind of like boring StarCraft. And I know a lot of streamers out there are going to say it's controversial. You know, your Thermal's out there like, StarCraft 2 is not boring. And then, you know, his intro says, yes, it is boring. You know, it was contradictory. It's like, StarCraft 2 is not boring. And yes, it is boring. You know, when I heard that, I'm like, okay. I'm letting you guys know that that it's been so heavily focused on meta play that the game has gotten pretty stale because of that. And that is why I'm the way I am, guys, because it's not good for my stream. It's not good for the normal audience that likes to watch. And there's a lot of people that back me with this. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like, for example, I got belligerent and said things, and I got banned off Twitch, right? And then I go on to YouTube, and my entire audience followed me there. There's a big difference. Because they agree with me. Because they understand. And because they are just as passionate at StarCraft 2 as I am, and they want to see these changes happen, and they don't want to give up. Okay? We want StarCraft to succeed. This is what we want, guys. Anyways, hopefully some of this information is helpful. I know that there's going to be haters out there that are going to disagree with it, but I really don't give a crap about that, because I'm going to continue doing what I think is right. And I'm going to continue doing what I think is going to be good for StarCraft 2, what is good for my stream, and what is good for, you know, the success of everybody. Not just the feely individuals out there, not because of the identity politics. I'm going to do what the people want. All right? Anyways, thank you guys for watching.